Alright, hey YouTube, John and Phil here again, and I'm doing a deck profile on my Chaos Stun deck that I made for my little brother to run at locals. Really good deck, actually. I didn't expect it to be this good, because I made it in like 35 minutes, and most Chaos decks, you know, they're not based around stun, they're just based around BLS, but I don't have a BLS, so I had to compromise. Alright, for the engine of the deck, I run Light Sworns, because, you know, they're light, chaos, they mill, they get your engine going. 3 Raikos, pretty much self-explanatory here. I don't have to really explain him, because everyone knows what this card does. Flip, pop a card. I run 2 Janes. This is the end of the Light Sworn engine, which you think, oh man, that's really fast. But these cards you get so often, it's not funny, because 5 cards out of a 40 card deck, you have a 1 in 8 chance to draw that, which is a 12.5% that you're going to draw 1 card, and you draw 5 cards in that one draw, or 6 cards your very first draw out of 40, that is a really good chance. Let me think. That would be a... Wow. Okay, I can't think right now because it's summertime, but that's a good chance. Alright. 3 Thunder King. You might be, oh my gosh, this guy runs Thunder King. Of course you do. It's a light. It's the best normal summon in the game right now. It's 19 beater. You know, you stop people from using pots. You stop people from using TGs, which this deck uses my other deck uses TG. What the hell am I thinking? This deck doesn't use TGs. This card works very well in the deck. There is pretty much no searching this deck except for the 1 Sangen. And right now I'm going through the lights, by the way, if you haven't noticed, but the 3 Thunder Kings are just, you know, they're ridiculous. I mean, you call the hunt these babies to just, like, stop something that maybe, you don't have Thunder King, but you have a call the hunted. They go to use a card that adds a card to their hand. Nope, I'm going to call the Hunted Thunder King. You can't do that. I'm going to Monster Reborn this card. Alright, I'm going to chain with Thunder King before you Monster Reborn, and I'm going to negate that Monster Reborn. I'm going to stop your special summon. This card is annoying. Alright, 1 DD Warrior Lady. I did have 2, but I cut it for the 3rd Thunder King because I just pulled that recently. 1 DD Warrior Lady is pretty good. You draw this when you need it. You can Sank it to your hand if you need it to remove that problem monster. Almost the last light. Marshmallow one, which I got this from someone who tried drawing something on it. They failed, so they just turned it into a black egg. Don't ask me why. Good defense position, stall card. It's a stall card, because sometimes this deck can get pretty cloggy hands, but when it doesn't get a cloggy hand, watch out, because this deck is lethal. 1 Light Pulsar, you might be thinking, what the hell, we're not playing Cast Dragons. But light, 25 beater, comes from your hand, comes from the graveyard. Great target to Foolish Burial. It's a strong beater. I mean, it doesn't have the dragon effect in this deck, where, especially on level 5, because I don't run that. But the fact that it's 25, it banishes, it's just another option, in my opinion. You might be, you're probably, like, confused, like, why doesn't this guy run light? Like, damn, he's retarded. I already have good enough lights, and I don't want to overmill myself, and I prefer Breaker over Lila, because Breaker, if they don't have anything, he's a 19 beater. I mean, he's another normal summon that's strong. And then if they drop a spell or trap the next turn, you just remove the spell counter. Or you remove it and you're still 16. That's still pretty big beater for a normal summon, and it's a dark, you know, it's just a good card. I mean, good back row destruction. You have 2 Breakers and 3 Raikos. You have enough back row destruction in this deck, including the MSTs. Alright, we're into the darks, by the way. Those were the first 2 darks. 2 Doom Caliber Knights. You don't really want to drop this. This is like your first drop, basically. If you mill this card, or if you drop this card first turn, it's a pretty good turn. But what's bad about this card is if you drop him with a Thunder King, and they go to add one of their cards to their hand, and you say you can't do that because of Thunder King's effect, Doomcal and Thunder King just blew each other up. Which seems like really bad synergy, but you're not going to drop Thunder King if you have this card on the field. You're just waiting for them to drop something that has an effect so you can negate it, destroy it. 19 beater, 18 defense, I mean, this guy's really hard to run over. Alright, Faders. You might be thinking, man, this guy's stupid. Again, why would he run Faders? Because when you get their effect, they get removed. Nobody gives a shit. If these cards get milled, they're darks and you still get their effect. You need to save your life points because you have a Chaos Sorcerer, but you're missing a light in the graveyard. You have Fader. You can Sangen into Fader to save your life for that turn and get another draw. I mean, this card is amazing. Alright, these are, Gale. I don't run any Synchros in this deck, even though he's a tuner, so you're like, why wouldn't you run Synchros? You have the possibility. Well, because since this is my brother's deck, he doesn't really have any Synchros, and I need to use all the Synchros that I can in all of my other decks. So he gets a Gale, have your attack, Dark. I mean, this thing runs over Stardust, runs over lots of cards. Really good card. You can put that into any deck, and it works. 1 Sangen. Searches most everything in the deck, almost. Great card. Dark. I I mean, there's nothing you can really say anything bad about that card. This deck runs triple Caius, because when like I said with the faders, like I said, you guys probably are like, oh, now it makes sense. He runs the Caiuses with the faders. It makes sense. Yes, it does. You know how ridiculous it is when you special summon a Chaos Sorcerer, remove something from play that turn, tribute the Chaos Sorcerer for a Caius, remove another card from play, and then attack? The guy's sitting there going, what the fuck? You just removed my Stardust, and you just removed my Red Dragon, or my, Darkness Metal Dragon, or you just removed from play my, Judgment Dragon. What the hell? This is retarded. That's why Caius is great in this deck. And with the Marshmallowins, it's another good card to run in the deck, because if he stalls, you get the Caius effect. 2 Chaos Sorcerers, because instead of running 3, I run 1 Light Pulsar, because I just feel like Pulsar is better because he can come from the hand and the graveyard, which is just completely awesome. Awesome effect. Basically, one of the boss cards of the deck. Chaos, Caius, and Dark Armed are the boss cards of the deck. Dark Armed, I don't know why, but this deck manages to get it out every freaking game. Like, it is, when I'm playing against my brother, he's just like, ooh, Dark Arm, baby. We'll be like 3/4 the way through a duel. He'll almost be decked, and he'll only have 3 darks in the graveyard. I'm like, are you kidding me? Awesome card. And with the milling power, if you have Dark Armed, if you still have Dark Armed out on the field, and you, like, drop a Jane or a Raikou, and this card doesn't get killed because it destroyed you, basically, and then you flip a Raikou the next turn, and you get more darks in the graveyard, just more ammunition to feed his big-ass guns. Alright, 2 MST for more back row destruction. That gives you a total of 2 Breakers, 3 Raikous, and 2 MSTs. That's 7 back row destruction cards, if you want to use the Raikous for back destruction. This card does not worry about spells and traps. It just beats you down. Field advantage is all this deck has. Monster Reborn, staple. Heavy Storm, staple. Dark Hole, staple. Charge, in this deck, it's got to be a staple. You want to mill, you want to get your Light Sworns to do more milling. 1 Book of Moon, staple, and 1 Foolish. This can be used on any card. You need a 3rd dark? Foolish. You want to get Light Pulsar out from your hand? Foolish. You want to put a Thunder King so you can call the Haunted it? Foolish. I mean, why did this card have to get limited? Why? Okay, traps. 2 Sakuretsus. Like I said, this is my brother's deck, so I have to use cards that are good, but I don't need them in my deck. So really, these should be 2-dimensional prisons. But like I said, I don't have them in any of my decks because I traded mine, so I need to get more of those. 2 Call the Haunted. This is a card that you would keep in there, so just letting you know about that. That's what I'd be running for these 2. 2 Call the Haunted. You definitely run those for Thunder Kings and Chaos Sorcerers if you brought them out the right way the first time. Caiuses, I mean. 2 Compulsoraries. Now, really good for this format. If you had the deck and you wanted to make this deck because you wanted to see how it ran, it's really good. I would run the Compulses, but if I had the Solemn Warnings, I would probably run the Solemn Warnings. Or the Bottomlesses. If I had 2 Bottomlesses or 2 Solemn Warnings, I'd probably run those instead of the Compulsoraries, because you don't take a lot of damage with this deck. But this card, when they sink and they're just like, what? What are you going to do? Because there's a lot of Synchros and XYZs that, when they get compulsed, they're like, what the hell? I just went all out and I got compulsed by a card I didn't even think was in this format anymore. Where with like a Bottomless or a Solemn Warning, the negatives are there. If they bring out a Zenmais, you can't Bottomless that. It's like, what the fuck? You can Warning it, but you're taking 2k where you could just do a Compulsory and just poop on them. Oh, this card is ridiculous against heroes. Oh, I Fusion Summon. Oh, get the fuck out. 1 Starlight Road to protect all of your back row. And spells and traps and monsters, because this deck does swarm, it keeps field advantage. So Dark Holes, Trench Holes, they can just fuck off because you have Starlight Road. The 1 Synchro I guess I do run is Stardust, but whatever. Alright, 1 Gachi. I don't even know if there's level 2s in this deck, but it's in the extra deck. That's just the way it is. 1 Dijin. Another string. Powers himself up to 3,000 if he's attacked or he's attacks. I don't think you normally get level 3 XYZ in this deck. I don't even know if I run to 2 level 3s. But if you do manage to get this, it's always there for the possibility, because this deck is not based around the extra deck. 3 Leviathan, because, like I said, it's not based around the extra deck, but if you do manage to somehow get this 3 times, you got it. 1 Wind Up Zenmaster. Level 4 XYZ is the most common in this deck. Zenmaster does seem like a pretty shitty choice, but if you just dropped a Breaker and a Jane, and you're like, I don't want to mill, and I've already used his effect, I'm going to go Wind Up. The Raikou I just flipped this turn, I'm going to put it back down to face down, and you can suck another pop. I'm just going to pop another card of yours. And he's a 25 beater, and good. Utopia, like I said, if you drop a Breaker and a Jane, or you drop a Doomcal and a Jane, and you're like, shit, if I attack with Jane, I'm just going to blow myself up with Doomcal. Utopia, None of their effects work anymore. Utopia, you just negate attacks, you can keep your shit alive. It works really well. This basically gets you a free Raikou. If you have Utopia, wind up in a Raikou, you can pop 2 cards on the field you're basically going to get 3 pops with 1 Raikou, and you're going to mill 9 cards. Oops, another Utopia, and then a Gem Knight to run over all the random stuff, and then 1 Stardust for Starlight Road, or if you do manage to Synchro with that Gale. Really, in reality, you should be running Synchros because the possibility of you getting them are there, but this is my brother's deck. All the Synchros are for me, or if I have them in a different deck, so if I do have the possibility of him running different Synchros, he would run them. So in your decks, you should run whatever you want in the extra deck, but I'm just telling you, XYZs and then the basic Synchros are the way to go in this deck. This deck is really fun. There's so many times where your opponent goes to do something, you're like, you can't do that. I got Thunder King. You can't do that. I have Doomcal. You can't do that. I'm just going to pop your card. I mean, they're sitting there and they're scared. You could put a Sangan in defense and you're like, how's my Raikou taste? Or they're going to be afraid it's a Raikou, so they're not going to attack, and you're going to be like, stupid. Or they are going to attack, and they're going to attack right into the Sangan that you wanted them to kill because you wanted to get a Fader that turn to be able to save your life. The deck works really well. I don't know how it does, but it does. The spells and traps work well. Like I said, you could switch some of those out for more higher tier 1 trap cards, but that's just the way the deck runs right now. Works really well. Try it for yourself.